Alright folks, Sunday morning coffee, 2:31. I'm going to cut to the chase, keep it short as I can. So, today, at some juncture, I am going to get you some footage up with Enthusiast Workshop. I'm going to show my cheap pot blaster. It's the 50 or 80 pound pot that you can get at Harbor Freight, through Eastwood, through any of your farm supply stores. This one came from a farm supply store, Northern Tool, or I don't remember where I got it. I got it some time ago. Trick is, one, you don't use silica sand. You don't cut where the shit and it's dangerous. Two, you don't just open her wide up and just let her fly. You have some preparation for the machine prior to usage. A moisture trap and a pressure gauge. I'll get into it. I'll show you all how that works and how I got as good or better than professional results out of a small shitty pot blaster. I'll show you the aggregate I use. I'll show you about that. The other is I'm working on the C10. Now, mind you, I've recently got my responsibilities, and I got 3 projects dragged down to the shop to deal with that I need to get out for customers from when I shut my shop down. It's been a minute. It's been too long. It's far overdue. I got everything in my custody, under my thumb now, so I can start sorting through, cleaning up messes, and just getting stuff moving forward. So I will get to turn out a lot of old projects that have been on my hands for far, far too long. That said, C10, I'm dealing with timeline issues, time management issues. Well, I manage my time pretty well at this point. But I'm going to tell you, a shop, operating a shop full time, 40 hours, 80 hours, whatever you've got to expend per week in physical man hours. For each day you get knocked off schedule, it takes at least a day to get back on schedule for any myriad of reasons. I wound up chasing cash flow and parts for this project for weeks, right around 10. I'd have to go back through my message and look, but weeks, for whatever reason, and I don't care what the reasons were. It happened. So, in the midst of all that, I also lost my helper. I went from being able to put 40, 45 hours in a week to about 20, 25 hours responsibly. That's still allowing me time to eat, sleep, go to work, my day job, and spend a little bit of time with my family. And not near enough, but enough to be a presence in my home. And be a father, be a dad, be a husband. Now, I'm the bad guy, of course, because everything's gone sideways with this situation, and that's fine. I'll be the bad guy. We'll maintain a certain standard of work, and it's going to take what it takes. At this point, I am into just the cab of this project, which is on a cart right now, not even on the chassis. On the cab of this project, I'm into it more than the project was supposed to take, because every panel I send down, it's more work. Look, the roof, for instance, the roof. I'm gonna have close to 40 hours in the roof, pulling, dinging, moving metal around, skimming, blocking, epoxy 2K, blocking again. I'm gonna have more than 40 hours just on the roof. The roof is 6 square feet, maybe. Every time I think I got something licked, something else pops up. The truck's going to be red, the roof is going to be gloss black, so it has to be right. And so now, I turned away a bunch of work I had sitting. In disclosure, the guy didn't have proper funds to adequately recompense me for my time, so they didn't get worked on. They got sent back out. He couldn't pay me. It was taking up space, and quite frankly, taking up space. It was time to go. So I got rid of all that and just focusing on this one thing. Then I spent a week and a half moving, and then an injury where doing my 9 to 5 was, my 8 to 5 literally was almost too much for me to bear. So healed, rested, back at it. But once something knocks your schedule off, especially when you've got such minimal time, I mean, I've got weeks of work in this cab. Weeks. Not days. It should have been days of work. 20 hours, 30 hours to get the cab ready for paint. No, man. I got that plus in the roof. I've got more than that in the back of the cab. I've got more than all of that. I got those two combined in the fucking metal work. So now we're running into 25 hours a week. 2 weeks is 50 hours. A month is 100 hours. And I got to put 150 hours into this thing. So there you go. A month and a half of work just to get the cab sorted out. I'm hoping to have most of the cab sorted out by the end of the day and be able to shoot the bottom in epoxy or matte finish black or whatever I end up shooting it in. I'm going to decide then. It's not a vehicle that's going to see weather. I'm going to take appropriate precautions to finish it well, but there's also going to be things that I have to do to save materials and time. That all fair and equal, I've still got 40, 50 feet of seam seal to apply. I've got the chassis to finish cleaning up and getting it shot so the cab can get rested back on the chassis. I've got an entire 2 more days just on the cab, at least, from what I'm looking at. I've got parts to fabricate. I've got welding to do. So once something fucks up the schedule, my note to me is, once something fucks up my schedule that's outside of my responsibility, I am going to settle up the score of where we're at financially and just send it back. I think it would have been my best bet, just instead of chasing money and dimes, just send it back unfinished and say, here, deal with it, I'm done. That would have been my best bet. I've learned to say no. Now I have to learn how to send shit back when it's not panning out. And it's not my fault. Because if it's not my fault, it's not my responsibility to make right. Here I am now, the bad guy, because I can't make it right. I can't shit 60 hours of work out in the next week. 150 hours out in the next 2 weeks. I can't do it. I run perpetually exhausted. So I'm venting, I'm pissed, I'm disappointed, I'm disgruntled, and the project's underwater. And that, like I said, that's a conversation with someone else I'm going to have. But this is my lending to you a little experience over time and space. Once something goes sideways, if it's outside of your realm, just send it back. If it's your fault, well, you do what it takes to make right. Period. And the ones that are in my realm, I'm going to make right. This one I'm finishing and moving on, and very well may never do work for this particular customer again. Either his want or mine. I don't know at this point. He may want me to do more work. Couldn't say. Don't care. It'll have to be awfully enticing to get me strapped back into another project for him. My intent is to take small projects, motorcycles, metal fabrication work of sheet metal or even light industrial stuff, polishing, trim, chrome, dinging out stainless and making it like new again. These things that I can sit down on a weekend and do, that I'm good at, and that I won't get enough of the work to get overwhelmed, but there's nobody left. So that's where we're at. That's what I'm going to do. I look forward to hearing from you guys. You take care. Thank you so much. You have a good one.